And welcome back to centralcoastradio.com. Well, now we're going to take a look at a brand new sports documentary that is out in cinemas at the moment. It is called Rose Gold, and it's the latest film from director Matthew Adekponya, who, of course, a couple of years ago did another fascinating sports documentary which looked at how they put together the Gold Coast Titans rugby league team. This time he's taking a look at the Boomers Australian basketball team, a basketball team that over the past, say 20 years, has gone from being an amateur kind of outfit that didn't do that well at international level to an outfit today that is currently in the World Cup and ranked number 2 in the world. And that has largely been because of the work of people on the team, including Andrew Bogut, Paddy Mills, and Joe Ingles. The three of them set about changing the culture of the Boomers, and this film actually chronicles how they went about doing that and how Paddy Mills and Joe Ingles are continuing that legacy now of getting them to where they are today, bronze medalists and number 2 in the world. Now, Lee, you're, like me, a big fan of the Boomers.
Yes.
What did you think of Rose Gold? Because I know that you're not always the biggest fan of sports documentaries.
No, probably documentaries in general, they really need to capture me and really have a really good story to them. Of course, it's a true story, but it needs to be, I suppose for me, the story needs to be told in a creative way, but truthfully. So, yeah, not embellishing the truth, but just told in a creative way, which this really did. I loved the way it showed, from the past to present. I love the way you could even see the difference in quality of TV film, like the way things are filmed, the gritty type of TV from the past, because there's live footage, of course, that has been put into this documentary. And, the quality of TV now is completely different. It captured the guys, as I call them, boys at the time. They were so young, and to see
Joe
them,
Ingles is unrecognisable in his early shots.
It's so cool seeing the pictures of them as kids. I'd call them kids. I know they were more than kids, but compared to the footage of them now, where they're proper men. They've grown up. They've developed. Their muscle tone's different. Their bodies are different. Their
Andrew Bogut's not the tall, lanky teenager that he was. So yeah.
And you basically feel like you've seen them grow up, and it makes you realise when you've been following a team for so long. It kind of highlights to me how long they've been in my life, if that makes sense. That they've really been a part of my life for that many years without me even realising how long it had been.
And you were a Tigers fan same as me, so you kind of grew up in the same era as me with Josh Giddey's dad, Warwick Giddey being on court, Ben Simmons' dad, Dave Simmons being even Dante Exum, who's in the Australian team at the moment, his dad, Cecil Exum, who sadly passed away this year, he was in the NBL at that time too. So, and
of course, the great icon, Andrew Gaze, number 10.
Go on, tell your Andrew Gaze story.
Oh, this is embarrassing, because if he hears this, he'll be like, who's that girl? But we were at a premiere once, at a media screening.
Yep.
And he sat right in front of me, and he's super tall compared to me. I'm really short. But it was okay. It was okay. And he was with a family member, and someone had nicked their popcorn off the chair, so that I could see them looking around for the popcorn. And I'm not really a fan of the popcorn, so I'm like, you can have mine. And it gave me an excuse to say hello and have a little chat to them. And it was a very big highlight for me, because he would have no idea who I was, but he was just so lovely. He's just such a lovely person.
I can remember when I was in primary school, so it's going back a long way. I went to the Royal Melbourne show, and Andrew Gaze and Dave Simmons and Warwick Giddey and Mark Bradkey, another name from the past, were all there doing this thing. And I was only really tiny at that stage, and I was shooting the basketball, but I couldn't reach it because it was adult height, and Andrew Gaze picked me up so I could slam dunk it, and he gave me a singlet at the end of it, like
Lucky
one of
you.
the Tiger singlets. But this doco looks at all of that, doesn't it? Like the rise of the NBL as well.
Yeah.
So
Even from the struggle to even get a uniform when other teams had those, you wouldn't call it a luxury to them. It would have been a luxury. And, you know, I remember at one point them saying, it's not really a spoiler, but, you know, they had to have a bar of soap to wash the uniform at night. Because they only got one and they needed to play the next day. So they're trying to dry it out overnight, and you'd either have to wear it wet or have to stink the next day and just wear it stinky. So,
and the green and gold was wrong with the
colours. Colours weren't right, and they just didn't have the sponsorship back in the day. But more than that, apart from having good sponsorship, the reason why they get the recognition and sponsorship now is because of the hard work that they've done. And this documentary certainly shows their hard work, their dedication, their love for each other as team members, so much that they're family. They're not just team members. They've created this family that really loves and supports each other, but their dedication to wanting to represent Australia, because they're so proud of being an Aussie, really shines through as well. And yeah, they just want to be great representation for Australia and to show that Australia does have such amazing skill and talent out there. So I really, really enjoyed this documentary, and I would certainly, if you are a basketball fan, I think you should go see it for sure.
I loved how it wasn't a look at me documentary. Like, one of the things that really hit me with this documentary was Patty Mills and Joe Ingles, how down to earth they were. And I know, like, for myself, I've got to meet them a couple of times over the years with the card collecting that I do, and I found that they are like that. But it's good to see that they're like that with their team as well.
I think in this documentary, it probably does focus more on them than other players. Actually, it does. I wouldn't say it
yeah, because they're the ones that have adopted this culture. Because
they've become leaders in their own right, and they've helped develop the team to where they're at. So, you know, you've got the coaches who are absolutely amazing and different. You see the different coaches that come through in their lives, and, you know, the coaches that they really trust, and also they are family members too. But then you see these players that have just taken that that next level of family and team.
And the footage is so raw. Like, it captures moments in the locker room, moments in team meetings, but all the special moments as well. Like, we talked about those grand names that have all played for the Boomers, but at the moment we're seeing like a very young Boomers side playing. So with the likes of Josh Green and Matisse Thibault.
One of my favourites.
Yeah, I like coming into the team, and Dante Exum, I know he's been there for a few years now, but watching how the likes of Matthew Dellavedova, Joe Ingles and Patty Mills have accepted them into the team, and
how much they've brought to the team as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like someone said to me the other day that the Boomers at the moment, it's only going to be a couple of years before that's Josh Giddey's team. Like, I agree, Josh Giddey, I believe, is going to become the greatest Australian basketballer that we've ever seen with the way he's playing at the moment. He's putting up Michael Jordan numbers in just his first and second season in the NBA. But it's nice to see that transition in this documentary as well. And you saw that going from Andrew Gaze to Patty Mills. Like, the team captain, Andrew Gaze, stayed there as long as he could. But I also like that you get to see these guys for real. I mean, Andrew Bogut's copped a bit of a bad rap over the last few years because of his stance about politics with things like COVID and things like that. You go back and see this, though, and you're just reminded that, you know what, he's just a nice guy who speaks his mind. Like, So I just really love that this was a fly on the wall documentary that showed us that these warriors that we watched go out wearing the green and gold, just what nice guys they really are and what they've been through to get to where they are today. So,
And in some sports you see the younger you are, the kind of more you might achieve. These guys, you would say, in a sports world,
yep.
would be kind of considering retiring, yet they're at their best. Do you know what I mean? Obviously their bodies have been have gone through a lot, and you see that in the documentary, some of the things that they've been through and why some players have already retired, and your heart goes out to them. But these guys are excelling in all they do, and you watch them play and you don't feel like they're anywhere near retirement age.
Yeah, and to answer the question that a lot of people have been asking me, yes, Luke Longley is in this documentary because, of course, poor Luke Longley, when they put together the documentary on the Chicago Bulls, they forgot about him, and everybody in Australia was like, hang on a minute, there's no way the Bulls would have won some of those championships without Luke Longley. But yes, Luke Longley does get a look in on Rose Gold. So if you're a Luke Longley fan, you can go along and check it out. But Lee, what are you going to give Rose Gold out of 5?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5.
I'm actually going to go one better. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. I really, really love this documentary. I watch a lot of sports documentaries, and you don't get a lot of documentaries as well put together that tells a tale as well as what Rose Gold does. It's a real story, and it's a heartwarming story that every Aussie sports fan needs to go and check out. You're listening to CentralCoastRadio.com.